We have been looking on the mastery level things where we'll be looking into we have been looking into the way how we have to first get access to the success factor systems initially when we are allocated to a project, followed by the day one activities, what we do initially when we get the system access, the basic activations, what we have to perform in the system, okay, and the implementation methodology, the way how the project life stages exist. All that is what we have been looking at. And in our agenda, we'll be primarily focusing on two important topics: users import and permissions, role-based permissions. So these will be the two primary focus areas. Based on the time permits, we can also look at a few other things as well. So before I get into the content, if anybody has any questions, I can take that from the previous topic if anybody has it. Anyone, any questions from the previous content?
I have one query. Actually, I have been attending the sessions from the SAP. I have the learning hub access. They said that it's not related to the general query. They have been telling that they are updating the content from June onwards. I think they are bringing some other version 2205. So, do you have any kind of update on this?
Yeah, of course. So our systems are going on currently. The system what we are using is the latest version, May version, which will be 2205 is the May version. Okay, every time our systems will be on the latest release itself. Okay, I'll even show it to you on the screen where to find that actually. Just give me a moment. Let me, yeah. So even on 20th of May exactly, I guess, we had a first demo session planned where on the same day the servers were all down actually because of the upgrades. So few of the people who have attended the demo on that day, they were aware of it. So we are not even able to showcase the system on that day because of the maintenance of the upgrades and all. So here in the system, on the right hand top corner, once you log in into the system, we have our photograph, the login person photograph as a thumbnail. When you click on it, get this option called show version information. So when you go for show version information, here you will be seeing it. So this is the release 2205, the May release, the latest one. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, this release is related to entire success factor or the employee central module only?
Complete. Every 6 months, whenever there are updates coming on, it will be on each and every module of SF. Okay, one module might have less updates, one module might have more updates. That differs from release to release, but every module of SF will have its updates released.
Okay, it will update in one go and all modules.
Exactly.
Okay.
So coming to the agenda for this week, which is the users import I'm talking about, guys. So if you see the terminology that I'm using, I'm not calling it as employee import. I'm calling it as a user import. The reason for calling it as user, not as employee, is basically we have an option that success factors can be implemented with or without employee central, guys. There is one wrong assumption for the people who are out of SF or who are just in the starting stage entering into SF. There is a common misconception that success factors is employee central is a mandatory module, but not. Employee central is an important module. There are more number of opportunities in the market, very module which is more in demand, that will definitely last for many years down the line. So that way it has its pros, but when it comes to the point of mandatory, no. Customers can implement success factors with or without employee central. There are a lot of projects which are using success factors as a talent suite. Talent suite is where we are using it only for the talent modules like recruitment, performance, compensation management, etc. But the actual core hiring process, the companies, the core other HR system will be existing, the old system what they are already using previously from years together. So they can use the core activities like hiring, promotions, transfers, separation or termination, all that hire to retire activities can be performed in a legacy HR system on the left hand side like this on my screen. Only the functionalities like performance reviews, learning management system, recruitment process, all that we can do in the talent module of success factors. So that way also it can exist with an integration between both the systems, so that the customer is going to run few processes on the legacy system, few processes on the SF system with an integration between them. So in such cases, we call them as employees in the legacy system and as users in SF. Here we are not hiring them. For everybody, we are just creating a login access for them to log in into the system and do your performance review, to do some learning courses from LMS module. Like that, we are just creating a user access for them to log in and do some things. the way you are a user in Facebook, the way you are a user in LinkedIn, Gmail, in SF also you will be a user. That's it. Because here we are not hiring you. The hiring process is done here in the legacy system, maintaining all your data, your historic data, your previous employer details, your education details, salary, dependents, everything we maintain here. All that information is not again required to be duplicated in SF. In SF, we maintain only the mini master data in such case. Only the mini master to run the talent modules. To run any of the talent module, I just require what is your designation, who is your manager, who is your HR, in which department you are, in which location you are, everything. What is it? The latest record is what I need, that to mini master data. I don't require your education details, your certification details. Your dependent details are also not required in the talent modules. Your address details are not required in the talent modules. So all that employee master record is maintained in the legacy system. In SF, only mini master is maintained with non-historic latest data. As on date data without any history, the mini master, that will be around 25 fields of important fields will be there. So with that fields only you maintain one record in the system, and the user will be created in the success factors that way. If you have employee central, everything here, then you do every hiring here itself, and each and every minute detail of information along with the history and everything you maintain in success factors. Okay, so both the ways, with or without EC, projects can be implemented. And even for learning also, people think like employee central, I have to first learn, then only any other module. That is also a wrong assumption. There are many consultants, hundreds and thousands of consultants in the market who don't know EC at all. They work only on recruitment, PMGM, LMS, other modules. Okay, but the point is definitely EC is more important in the market with a lot of opportunities, much demand. EC consultants will be paid 10 to 20%, 20% extra in the pay rate, of course. But when it comes to mandatory, it's not either for consultants to learn or for the customers to implement. It's not mandatory. Okay, so back to the context. So it's that success factors can be implemented with or without DC, and in such cases where we are using SF as a non-EC system only for talent modules, we just require to maintain the mini master data. And how does that mini master data creation happens is what we are going to look towards. In the name of users import, we call it as users when you don't have EC. When you are having UC, you can call them as employees because you're actually doing the hiring, promotions, everything here in the system. That is the thing. And now until we start our employee central by sometime or by next weekend, by the time we start EC, for time being, we'll treat success factors as a non-EC system. And how does that users import will happen? We'll also look at that process, initial user creation. Okay, so why do we require immediately this topic to be discussed of user creation and all this? So if you are going to work on some configurations down the line, to like you configure a scenario or a process such a way, employee initiates something that goes for manager approval, HR approval, HOD review, like that, some workflow and all. If you have to see, you need some set of users. Whenever you start your project, first you need your set of users such that for every configuration you do, you can do some unit testing, some basic testing at your end before you give it to the client. So for that, every time we should be ready with a set of users, 3 or 4 users, so that for every config you can test it. That is how when in the real time we keep our set of test data. Where if customer is able to give us some sample data of their actual employees, that is well and good, we can upload that itself. If customer is not readily able to give that data immediately now, we can create our dummy IDs, some dummy users data, sample users, we can create our data. That is it. So to import it into the success factor system, guys, in the instance system, in the success factors instance, you will have in this admin, in the admin center under the tools section, if you go for the see all option here in the tools, you will have different subheadings of sections like this. On the right hand side, this third row, you start seeing a section called update user information. This block under update user information, you will find an option called import employee data. This one, import employee data, where this current system what I'm using is a already EC enabled system. That's why it is giving the terminology as import employee data. But in real time, but in when a system is non-EC activated, in that you will have import users as a terminology. Okay, because it is EC imported only, I'm seeing the word as employee, else it will just simply come as import users. And I'll just take to that place. So here in this import employee data, guys, we get this option of what we are actually planning to import. We can select it here. Basic import, the very first one, basic import is what we will be importing. That's it. The rest all are required only if EC is being implemented. If non-EC system, only the basic import is what we do the import. And if I have to import it, first I need to know the file format and I have to prepare the data. Then only I'll be able to import it. So where do we get the file format is? Here you have employee export. Under the same update user information, you have this fifth option called employee export. So with this employee export, we'll be able to download the file where the existing users, whatever are the existing users that are present in the system at this point, that will be downloaded. In that, you can add the new users, whatever you want to upload, and upload the entire file back into the system. It is downloaded with some X number of records. You add 10 more records. So X plus 10, total whatever is the latest count, that records entire file you will be uploading back into this import employee data. From here, you get the file. Now, this is a starting stage of the project where there are 5 consultants allocated to the project, and all 5 of them have created their own IDs for the front-end instance system of SuccessFactors. Every consultant is having their ID. Now, when I click on employee export in the starting stage of this project, here I have this export user file as a button. I click on it and a file will be downloaded. So in this file, which user data will be present, guys? In this export user file that I'm downloading, what data is expected to be present?
SAP standard data.
SAP standard means, will SAP load us any sample users and give us?
Might be.
The login user data.
Sorry, can you come again?
Login user data.
What? Login user data.
Existing user with a standard template defined by SuccessFactors.
First of all, I have to tell this, when it is a client system, SAP never gives you any data standard. It's a client system. Why should SAP give the users? It will not give it. Okay. If it is a demo system, SAP might be giving some sample users. And a client real-time systems, that will not be given with any sample user data. Anybody. So now I'm again repeating the scenario. This is a starting stage of the project where consultants have created their IDs into the system and they have logged in and they have to start their configurations. But now when we are going to export the users file out of the system, what users can be expected to be present in that file is the question.
It will be existing consultants itself.
The consultant users list.
Exactly. The consultants who created their IDs for themselves and they got into the system, that consultant IDs will be there. Got it? That is it. Just give me a second. Let me open the file. Yeah. So this is a file that got downloaded, guys. This is a file that got downloaded. Where in a client system or a new system, and you say, yes, those consultants, if it is 3 consultants or 5 consultants who are there in the project and who created the IDs for themselves, that records will be there. And say example, that might be 5 records tentatively. So only that 5 records will be there. From somewhere from the 6th record, we can start adding our additional records and we can import it. Here in this system, you have a lot of records because this is a demo system where SF has given a predefined data. Some almost around 1400 users of predefined data SF has given. But in a real-time system, that will be blank. It's an empty, complete blank system. If consultants have created their IDs only will be there at that point. So that 5 or 6 consultants IDs can be seen. Later we can add our records that way. So this is how the basic import file is, what it looks like. Mini master data file or basic import file you can call, where it has 3 different terminologies, guys. We see across 3 different terminologies of calling this way. Basic import, user directory file, mini master data file. These 3 things. Basic import is the official terminology that you see even in the system. User directory file is a terminology that we see when the file is downloaded. You see this file name on the top, user directory _ some number. So that user directory is also. Let's make sure the devices are on mute. Yeah. And the last terminology is mini master data, which is not official, but the consultants keep using this in the market unofficially. Mini master data file. 3 different terminologies we use it. But anywhere in the SAP documents or any other, any other websites or articles, anywhere if you are going through any documents, so these 2 will be maximum found. This you will never find anywhere in the internet. But orally, when speaking and all, people commonly keep using this mini master data file as well. Anything can be referred. Okay. Now this file, to understand the structure of this file, the first 2 rows will be the column headers, gentlemen. Column headers, where the first row will be the technical field names and the second row will be the field labels. So here MI is the technical field name. Middle name is the proper label with what it will appear on the front end. That way you have these 2. Okay. So these 2 rows you should never touch. From third row is only the user data is expected, and you work anything from third row. First 2 rows as downloaded as it is, it has to be uploaded. Don't make any changes. To make sure there will be no errors or system will not stop from upload and all, every time recommended not to touch anything in the headers. From third row you can deal with. And in the third row, so it might be 4 or 5 consultant IDs. After that, somewhere you will plan to add the record. But it's not mandatory that you have to every time go to the last place and import. Anywhere randomly, you can insert one record. Just insert one record and make an entry and upload it. When you're uploading the entire file, whatever records are already previously present in the system, that IDs, system will not do any duplication or anything. It will come to an entry which is not present in the system. If I'm going to upload some number as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something, any user ID. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it will see that this is not present in the database currently, and this will be created now like that. Those IDs which are already in the system, that will not be bothered. That will not be having any impact or any duplication or anything. Only that new number that is coming will be created in the system that way. And you can add it anywhere in the first record or in the third record or in the 7th place or in the last place, anywhere you can add it. And also to understand about these columns, what are present. The first column is a status column, which will accept only 2 values, active or inactive. So active records are those are currently going to be using the system. And if there is any person who is resigned from the company and his access has to be revoked, we mark them as inactive. So like your previous employees, terminated employees, all that, their IDs will be present with your inactive as a record, inactive as a status. So every time the active records will be on the top and inactive records will go to the bottom of the file. If we go to the complete extreme bottom of the file, guys, almost after 1400 records, you will start finding the inactive entries as well. See this, around 1400 records and all. Here I am showing you all the inactive at the bottom. That way.
So when you're saying that these, when we log in actually to this, right, it's only the consultants who will show up first, and then we will add all these records. So when we are saying after that we will add these records, will we be, given a certain data, or is it the same employee import what you mentioned, that data will come here?
No, I did not get your question. Can you come again once, please?
Yeah, actually, initially you said that when we log in, it will be only the consultants record who have created their IDs will show up here, right?
Of course.
Yeah, so the other employee details, what we are just discussing now, we will be adding those details. So that data we will be importing.
Exactly, we'll be importing through import employee data. So whatever is the data that is imported through import employee data, next time when you click on employee export, that will be again downloadable.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's common that we have questions, but please, I advise everyone to follow the same principle. Have any question, just raise your hand. You have that raise hand option, please use that. Okay, so that I can call out your names. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
So yeah, the first column is the status, which will accept active and inactive as the only 2 possible values. Then user ID is nothing but an employee ID in SuccessFactors, guys. User ID is the employee ID, where it can be numeric or it can be completely alphabetic like this. These are all alphabetic IDs, or alphanumeric is also accepted. E1, E10, E11, E12 like this. Numeric, alphanumeric, pure alphabetic. Anything is accepted in SuccessFactors. But mostly only alphabetic IDs companies don't use. Definitely they'll have a number sequence. So either numeric or alphanumeric is what it will be generally used in the real time. SuccessFactors supports all the 3. Okay, that is a good. And then the next column we have is assignment ID, UUID, where this is something that got released only in this release. In this last May release only, they have got this column for some integration purposes and all. So we need not give any input into this. System will be automatically generating a particular number for every user. So we need not bother about this column. We have to enter the user name next. Username, some companies repeat the same user ID, which is the employee ID, they repeat it again. Some companies use a different username, where username is nothing but the login name on the SuccessFactors system when you're going to log in, guys. So that is the username that you will have. Some companies, you see this, it is the first letter of the first name concatenated with the last name like that. So it is their own decision how they want to have their username designed in the company, and they can maintain it. Then first name, nickname, middle name, last name, these are all the self-explanatory fields. You can maintain the data. And next importance is the title, where title is the current job title. Currently running whatever is the latest employee title, the job title, that can be maintained. And then we have gender as a column, where in which every time only the only the code should be taken, guys. You can't enter the entire text as male, female and all. Only the codes should be given. Then email ID normal. Next important are manager and HR. These are something very important to be considered. So whenever you are maintaining any employee record, you also have to tag their reporting manager and the HR against that employee's ID or the user's ID, whatever. Their ID should be given. Manager name should not be given. Manager ID. The way you are using, you are saying that there is a ID called 1000009 for the employee. For that employee, who is the manager is 82092 is the manager. 82096 is the HR. So their IDs should be given, not the names. And in case if you don't know who is the manager or who is the HR, you are hiring the user, but till the decision of to whom we have to assign this as a reportee and all, it is not decided. You can use the strings as no underscore manager or no underscore HR as a standard strings, guys. You can't leave manager and HR columns blank at all. They are mandatory columns. Either give the input of a manager or HR, or use these standard strings, no underscore manager, no underscore HR in capital letters. And that's a mandatory columns. And this is a regularly expected certification question. You guys can make a note. So what is a standard string that can be used in case we don't have the manager in the data imports is no underscore manager. Similarly for HR, no underscore HR. That way. So like this, till the column HR is what we have to mandatorily take care, guys. From column A till column N, which is till the HR column, is what we take care. Afterwards, all the other fields what we have, which we'll speak about, the department of the employee, location of the employee, time zone in which he is working, all these fields are non-mandatory. If the client is having the data and they're able to provide us the data, we can upload. Else, even if they don't have, system will not stop you for now. First, to create the ID, it will not stop you. All these other columns, department, division, location, time zone, the phone numbers, fax numbers, address details, all these things are non-mandatory columns. So one more mandatory column in between you get is column AG here, which is default locale. Default locale is the default language. Now you got a user created, and if he's going to log in into the system, with what language he should see the system. So SF has 43 languages, and this client might have activated 10 languages. In 10 languages, this user first time when he's seeing in which system he has to see. Later he can change his language in the system. But first time, which language is that you have to give here. So EN underscore US represents English US. EN underscore GB, if you give, that is British English, Great Britain. That way, for every language we have a code. That code we have to give here. And we need not memorize these codes, guys. So you'll be easily finding them in the provisioning system. The place where we upload this, the place where we upload the, so not upload, initially when we activate. Initially, the place where we activate the language packs in the provisioning system. So there you will be able to find the language codes. Let me quickly show you the place. So in the provisioning system, once you go into that company, the very first link called company settings. When you click on this, the very first one called company settings, a page opens where we have a lot of activation points, all the checkboxes and all. In this, you saw the language packs last time, all the languages. So here you have the codes of all the languages, guys. These are all the codes of each and every language that you have here. So any language you want, you will find that code. So EN underscore GB is British English, and EN underscore US is a US English, like that you have. So that language code is what we can have it in our file in the default locale as a column. Okay. So this way we can have the default locale as a column also maintained. And one more last column is a complete extreme last column called assignment ID external. This is what you have to maintain with the same repeat of the user ID. In the very extreme starting, whatever is a user ID column that we have maintained here. So here, whatever is ID that you have taken, the same thing can be given on the extreme right called assignment ID external. This is also for some integration purposes and all as a prerequisite field. SF will ask us to repeat that data here that way. So this is how you will have all these columns, various columns of mini master data in which we have to make sure we are considering the fields till the HR. The initial columns till the HR column is what we have to take care. After that, only two more fields that will be later on that, which is the language is one, which is in the name of default locale, and the final extreme last column, which is assignment ID external. That's it. So these are the minimum fields we recommend to maintain while you're uploading to get a user get created in the system. Other columns, if you have the data, you can. Else, not a problem even if you don't maintain it. That is a way first to give you guys an understanding of what are the different columns that we have and which are important to be taken care while you're importing. Okay. So now I'll take some questions. 1 second. So starting with
mention like when we see the gender column, right? It is a code as we have to mention it is M or F, which is a male or female. It will not allow us to make it like male completely male or FEMAL. But a consultant who does not know it, and if we try to type, does it throw errors?
Definitely. So that is where those records will fail. You are loading 100 records. Okay, if system
No,
found
while
some
Excel, not while uploading.
How will you know in Excel? Excel is not your SuccessFactors application. It's a place
only
where
when we upload it.
Finally, system can stop you.
Okay, only when we upload, we will get the details.
Of course.
Okay, and
the same way.
Okay, and coming to this user ID, which you mentioned as an employee ID, just to reconfirm, which means consultants create their login with a dummy employee ID, correct?
Consultant creates their own ID with their own name and ID. They can give whatever EC admin, PMGM admin, whatever ID they want, they'll keep it and the consultant will log in with that ID.
Yeah, whatever we can create it like.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
And next.
Yes, although my doubt is already got clear with this question, that I just want to know that the status is whenever we will submit this data with the new joinee, we will mention it, the status will be active.
Yeah,
because we are going to active that, so we will mention it active.
Exactly.
Okay.
Only two values. While you are creating the user with active status you create, at one point of time when this user is no longer going to be part of the organization, you'll turn it into inactive. You can't delete a record. It is only making it inactive.
Okay. And the standard string you are talking about, so we in entire sheet we have to that maintain this standard string if the detail is not there in only those two columns.
Exactly. That those strings are particularly applicable for only those two columns, manager and HR. No underscore manager, no underscore HR.
Okay.
I would like to know, is there any specific way to identify the important columns?
Your voice is not clear. Second, it's not even loud enough.
Actually, I would like to know, is there any way to identify the minimum required data in the template? Like what are the fields are mandatory?
That is where in the config level, once you are entering into the config level, where are these columns coming from in the system actually also, you'll get to know that place. So there, it is in your control to make which fields are mandatory, which fields are non-mandatory also. So by default, standard system level, when the initial template that you are downloading, what will come as the SF standard is what I'm introducing. Later, we'll also get introduced with a place where you can turn them mandatory, non-mandatory as per client requirement. We'll also get to know that stage. Okay.
That is fine. Through config I can do, but through template can I identify like which is mandatory as a layman?
Nothing. You cannot. In the system only you have to go and see. So this is a question, guys, I'm going to answer for everybody. Not only in this, you go to Oracle, Java, .NET, anywhere. When you are going to do an import, no Excel file is going to tell you that these are the mandatory columns. You have to find it in the screen on the front end. What fields are set as mandatory, you have to take care of that in the file import. Okay, that is the way. And yeah, if you're done with the question.
When we say that user ID will be a dummy for the consultant when we are logging in, does that mean that we don't give our actual user ID when we are creating our
What is that actual user ID? I did not get you. What is that actual user ID?
No, the dummy user ID when we are saying, right, we are entering the employee user IDs there. Right?
That is employee. Employee will have an ID in that company. When you are going to enter into a system, you will not have an ID in that company. So Coca-Cola is the project you are doing. Coca-Cola employees will have their IDs, internal Coca-Cola numbering will be there. You as a consultant of IBM working for Coca-Cola, you will not have a ID of Coca-Cola. You will have you will be just entering into the system as a EC consultant. You will create just the EC admin as a ID.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Actually, the doubt which I had has got clarified. But another question which I had is that can we like format this Excel file? For example, if we identify that there is a certain data which has been extracted incorrectly.
Hey, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
So we can mark it for the later change. Is it possible?
You have to update it. Say you found an employee's designation, the column called the job title is wrongly taken. You update it and re-upload it. So currently it is mentioned as assembly manager. The actual job title is senior assembly manager. I'll just update it senior and I'll upload it. This time the latest record is updated when you upload.
Okay.
Two header column fields are SAP standard fields, or it will change as per the requirement?
Standard. This file will never have any additional columns that will added, guys. These will be the only columns that will be there in this. Okay.
So if I want to,
if we want, we can labels. If we want, we can change it, but that will be also in the front end. What labels you made updated, that with that label it will get downloaded. So here we should not touch. Once the file got downloaded, it is never recommended to touch.
So if I want to have one more section, for example, I want to add here section column section. Is it possible for me to add section?
Yes, it is. So for that case, SF has also given custom columns. You see this? The columns in the name of custom 01, custom 02, all this with empty columns in which you can maintain. Say you want the section as here. This the custom 10 as a field is what you can label it as section and start maintaining the data. So using this custom 10 as a section with the section as a label, you can do it in the front end in the config level. So from next time when you download, it will appear custom 10 as section.
Okay.
In that I maintain. So around 15 fields will be standard custom fields. The terminology is standard custom fields. So SF will not allow you to add more number of columns, but up to 15 is given, and that is definitely more than enough. When you are working on a non-EC system as a mini master data, already maximum important columns SF is standard covering. Beyond that, 15 additional also is being given, and that will be more than enough. That will never go beyond that.
Sorry, I'm getting the question when people ask it. Okay. So one quick question is, there is one option of upgrading, as you were mentioning. Let's say for an employee who's already in the system, we have to update their designation. As you mentioned, we come back, download this, update here and re-upload it. While doing that, I understand it is all linked to the employee ID. In such a situation, can I just put an employee ID and only the column what I want to change? For example, I need only this designation to be changed and I will update only that column, and will that allow the upload?
Yeah, that's a good question. I appreciate it. That is a functionality that we have the possibility in EC, where EC specific import files, but in basic import file, you cannot. The same as it is file has to be imported. You can't customize this. Okay.
In continuation with that, so ideally when I download the report, generally a common person's mindset, right? I would ideally delete all the records and update only few things which I need and I will upload. But you were suggesting you can add the records. Is it mandate to add the records or add only the new records?
Yeah, for that question, I'll park it for a while. So I have that in my checklist. Why is the reason I'm asking you to upload entire file at all? I'll give you the justification.
Sure, Shiva. Thank you.
In the gender column, it's only there are two options, right? F and M. But there are organizations who maintain multiple options under this. So how do they maintain their
four records? Actually possible. Only 4 possible. It will be like male, female, transgender, or undisclosed. Only 4 options will be maximum possible. Yes, if a company is using transgender, they can start using T. If they're using as undisclosed or other or something, they can use O or U kind of other values as well. So in the backend, we maintain this list actually. So there will be a concept called pick list, drop down values. So what are the drop down values? For that, for every value, what is a code? M for male, F for female, T for transgender. We maintain that the master list actually. So as per that, we'll use it. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Fine. I'll pause the questions for a while. I'll take this further and then again take the questions. So here we And now we are got introduced with the list of columns what we have, and in that the mandatory columns what we have to take care and all, in which I'm going to add a record now practically and upload it and see how does the process actually functions. So let us keep a new record when we are importing. Obviously we keep it as an active record with an user ID where I told it will support alphanumeric. I'll just keep it as demo underscore June. Today is 4, right? Demo underscore June 4. And this assignment ID is what I told. This column is system generated. We need not fill anything. Leave it blank. Username. Some companies repeat the same user ID. Some companies come up with a different one. It's up to them. Where this is nothing but the login name with what login on the user he has on the login page, what ID he has to enter. Then first name is like demo. Middle name is what I'll call user, demo user, and it is June 4. Demo user June 4 is his first name, middle name, last name. Job title, I'll give something like analyst. Gender as some male or female, anything. Email ID, some dummy email ID, some xyz@gmail.com. Then manager and HR. So manager, I'll maintain it. So if I want to maintain this person, so I go person 1000083 as a manager for this guy also. Like this. And HR, no underscore HR, I want to keep it. So I want to show you both the cases. If the data is there, this is like this way you maintain. If you don't know the data, you maintain with this kind of a string. That way. So till HR column is what you have to consider. Other columns, if you have the data, you can. Even if you don't maintain, that doesn't bother. And next important is the language, where it should be the login language should be US English or British English, whatever for the first time when he logs in. That is the one. And again, the last column, the assignment ID external, is where you have to repeat the same. So it is demo underscore June 4 is what we are giving. That's it. So this way you have to prepare your file with, now I just maintained with one record. You can maintain it with several records and you can import it. Okay. And let me just save this file. And these files are not Excel files, gentlemen, for your information. These are not Excel. These are the, These are the CSV files. They look like Excel, but they are CSV, .csv. Okay. .csv, comma separated values. They look like Excel, but they are not Excel. And every module, not only here, EC, talent modules, anywhere, any data imports in SuccessFactors will be supported with only .csv as a file format. I'll just show you here. So when you're trying to get this one, PDF, Excel like this, CSV will be one format, .csv format. Okay. So now I've just saved it. Let's go to the SuccessFactors system, the place where I told we have to do the import. Let me get into the system once again. And the place, the transaction where we have to import is import employee data, where you can either go to the see all and you can find it, or even here on the top search area, you can use this import employee data as an option. Import employee data, where the first one, basic import, is what you have to choose and select the file that you prepared with the data. Let me browse it. It is in the deep folder. Let me select it. Yeah. So I just selected it from my file. That's it. You just have to select the basic import as a category and the file. That's it. And don't touch anything at the bottom. Leave them as it is. On the right hand bottom corner, you have the import option. Just click on this import button. When you click on import, system is going to say your file has been uploaded to the server successfully. If you see that, if you read out the first line, your file has been loaded to the server. It doesn't say your data has been loaded. It says your file has been loaded. Okay. So that is the way. So you have to wait for the data to be imported. It will internally take the file, it will process, it will check all the validations, everything, and finally it will get imported and you will get a log email on your mail ID. So which user imported it from their login. So here it is Anya Singh. From the Anya Singh's login, we'll get the import. We'll be able to do the import. And user on the Anya Singh's email ID is where you'll be getting the log email as well. And it will hardly take a minute to import it, guys. So if I search here for that ID, demo underscore June 4, here it is, demo underscore June 4. The one that I uploaded now is there. Demo is the first name, user is the middle name, June 4 is the last name. Demo underscore June 4 is the user ID. Analyst as the job title. xyz@gmail.com is the email ID. Jack Kincaid is the manager name that we have maintained. All that with what all data you have maintained, that user is ready. And when you click on it, that user's profile will be opened. Every user will be having a profile created, gentlemen. And here it is. Demo user June 4 is the user ID that you have here. With all the other sections of the profile being blank with no data, because it's not a easy user and you did not import any other data. It's all blank. So this way, even with a mini master record you are creating, the user profile will be created for sure for everybody, whatever minimum data that you maintain. Okay, so this is how the import functions. Let me just take you to that place once again. So this is a place where you select the basic import, select your file that you prepared, and you click on import. And the other thing is the place where we exported it is employee export. So if you go to the admin center under the see all option in the tools, if you go for the see all, keep scrolling down, you have to find for a section which is in the name of update user information. In this update user information is where you'll be finding this employee export or import employee data, both the options. Where in the employee export is where you'll be exporting the file first. In that you'll be adding the additional records and you'll be importing it back. This export user file is what it took. But the question is, are we required to upload the entire file every time back? Not required. Here if you see, the first option is export template. If you go for export template, guys, there will be only the file format that will be downloaded without the data. Here in this, if you want to load the 1 or 2 users, start adding the records. Okay, here. So I want to add 5 users. Just add 5 entries, maintain the data and upload. That's it. You are not touching the existing records. You are not re-importing the existing users here. If you want to go in this way, this is also possible. If you want to go with the entire file, that is also possible. Whichever the way, both are available. Then why do I recommend to you go with the entire file option is, if you download the existing file, if you go and download the existing file here, and you're going to maintain the data, in the initial days, you will have a reference. Okay, what fields are important to be maintained, in which field, what kind of data is to be maintained. You will have an example, reference of existing codes, existing values that are maintained. You will get an idea and ease of using this file. So initial 1 week, 2 weeks, once you have got the grip and comfort on using this file, later on even you go for that template option also, no problem. But for your ease in the initial days, I recommend with this full download, full upload option. Okay, both are pretty much possible. It is not any mandate that you have to definitely import it and all. You have to entirely import is not a mandate. Okay.
I had extended question on that. If you're okay to ask
please.
Now. Okay, so on this user ID, as you mentioned, okay, I understood the focus of why we have to do it as an add to the existing list. Now, assuming that, let's say there is a person employee ID with 100 as a user ID.
Okay.
Right. And I don't notice it. And I again add a new column of user ID as 100. Okay. But this 100, what I have added, my focus is to change the designation. Okay. So in that case, initially I understood basically it will not take the duplicates. It will take only the new users. That I am clear about it. If in case as a human error, I miss the ID which already exists as 100, which is an employee code, I end up adding a new row with the same employee code. But for me now, the idea is to change the designation. Then does the system take it, or it will still consider this column as a duplicate?
No problem. So now you have a record which is 1000095 in this file. Okay, this record column number, row number 8.
Right.
Now here adding one more. Again, you maintain one more record with the same ID is your question.
Correct. By mistake, yeah.
Yeah, you maintained it. Now here there is some data. That record is processed. Now the next record is being processing. Here, instead of the program manager, this time here it is maintained as senior program manager, example say. Now for system, this is the latest record against this ID. It will again process this also. Now for this name, for against this ID, this will be updated latest.
Okay.
Every time the latest, you maintain the same record 100 times also, no problem. What is the 100th record, that will reflect in the front end.
Okay, sure.
That is it. Okay. Yeah.
Like in normal scenario, what we do in SAP screens, okay, there we maintain, when we hire an employee, then we have some effective start date.
We have it here also, but that will be in Employee Central. When you are in Employee Central, when you maintain the entire historic information and all, you need a start date, end date and all. But here in SuccessFactors, when you are implementing this current system as a non-AC system, as I told you, it is in such case only the mini master data is maintained with only latest data. As on date, what is the data? That's it. So for this, you will not have any start date, end date and all. This is the ongoing existing record. That's it.
Now let's say for a talent module, let's say an employee is eligible for promotion. Okay. And as per company policy, he is eligible for a designation XYZ only if he has completed 5 years in the same organization. So if we maintain the employee mini master data in SuccessFactors, then for this talent module purpose, for the promotion purpose, how the system will understand if the employee has completed 5 years of its service in the organization or not, if the hiring date is not maintained.
Yeah, the point is hiring date is definitely maintained. So even in this file, the file that I am showing you, just give me a moment, let me open it once again. So here we are definitely maintaining the hiring date. This is there, column T. Okay. Where what my previous answer is regarding having a start date, end date for everything. Address data, email data, like this for everything, having the start date, the end date, data effectiveness is easy. Minimum hire rate of the entire employee's hire rate is definitely maintained. That is not discarded.
Okay, yeah, that was my question. Okay, I got it now. Thank you.
Actually, I about to ask. You created the one.
I have a question. You use that hand raise option.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Fine,
actually, you created user, that's okay. You displayed that, but when you are submitting, means when you are handovering to the end user, let us say maybe business recruitment team or somebody else, how we are going to give the change password option? Change password. I think we created user only. I think how to change the password.
Initially, here we are just creating all the users. For them to have the option for the password, they can set their own passwords. That is where in the previous sessions we saw the topic called welcome email. Using welcome email, we can trigger an email to them so that they can set their own password. Or else you have a reset password option also I shown in the last week's session, where for this user ID, you can set a password as well.
Okay, reset, same process we can follow, reset password.
Yeah, of course.
But how immediately that, okay, since we have given the email ID, that link will be taken to that concerned person?
Exactly. Okay, so welcome email is an option that is triggering to that particular email ID, what you mentioned here in this column.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, Jayant?
Yeah, my question is, can we use the Excel file also in place of CSV or in...
it will not take, simply to throw in a .csv is the only supported format.
In entire SuccessFactors.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is about the way how the initial user import as a functionality will be applicable, guys. So in a non-EC system, if you have to have the data import to be done to create the users, and with that you to run the show of the talent modules and all. And next thing is, for these users that are created, we have to deal with the permissions. Okay, so users are being created. So what range of permissions they should get? Should they get the employee level permissions? Or they should get the related permissions or a manager related permissions? Which permissions? So we have to deal with the permissions for all the users that are being set up. So that is where the next topic will be on the permissions. How do you deal with the permissions assignment? The complete permissioning model in SuccessFactors is what we'll be looking at. Okay, so for that is where, let me open one presentation for the topic, how the permissioning model in SF actually functions. One moment. Yeah, so here is the permissioning model that we have, guys, where this is how the permissioning model actually functions with the roles and the groups. The one in the center is a role, where a role is a bunch of permissions. Different things, a permission to hire an employee, a permission to promote an employee, terminate an employee. That is EC related. Coming to performance, a permission to create a goal, delete a goal, giving a rating to an employee. All these are permissions. Okay. Similarly, for recruitment module, to do a new job hiring, to schedule the interviews, like this. For everything, we have permissions in every module. A role is a bunch of permissions. So you create a role. Say example, you want to create a role called HR role. Create a HR role with what all permissions the HR should be given. You select all that permissions in that role. Like that, a role is basically a bunch of permissions what we want to give, where I can create an employee role, manager role, HR role, like that. In employee role, a basic employee, what should he get in the access in the system, that we'll select in that employee role. If it is a manager role, manager related. If it is a HR role, what are additional HR related things that HR can get? Like that, selectively we'll give the permissions in the respective roles. And these roles, once you create a role, say example, I create a role called HR role. that HR role has to be given to some set of HRs in the company. So who are those HRs who are going to be granted with this role? Will be the people who are on the left hand side, the granted users. We can create a group called granted users, and in that I'll add the people. So those HRs who are going to be authorized to get this role access, they will be added into the granted group. We link the role to the group. We will not link the role to each and every employee in the company. To all the HRs, if say there are 10 HRs, I need not link that role to 10 HRs individually 10 times. So I'll add all the HRs in one group and I'll link the group and the role. So this left hand side yellow color is a group, granted users group. Now 10 HRs have got the access to this role, where this role is giving the permission to do promotions, transfers, terminations, all that. But whom they can terminate, whom they can promote, for whom they can do the transfers, all that is the target users. We'll have the target users on the right hand side, on whom I can use these permissions. I got a permission to terminate, I got a permission to do the promotions, all this. So on whom I can do this is a question. So that is where we have target users as a group. So on whom they can perform that. So now HR got a permission, but they can do it on employees of all over India, or they can only do the transactions on Bangalore employees, only Mumbai employees, or entire India employees, but they can't touch the US employees, Australia employees, they can't touch only India employees. Like that, the target population, whether it is a city level or a state level or a country level or a pay grade level or a department level, you want to give access such that I got a permission and I can use that permission of promoting, transferring anything only on IT department employees, only on finance department employees, only Chicago location employees. Like that, that is a target population. On whom I can use those permissions is a target users. So a role will be connected on both the ends with these two groups, granted users who are getting the role and the target users on whom they are going to perform that permissions. Two groups. That is where a role is every time going to be defining the access to the data in the system and the functionality in the system. Data is nothing but I can see the salary data of this employee or not is the first data access. I can change the salary and do the increments or not is the functionality. Doing increments is a functionality. First able to see the salary data is the data access. Changing the salary is a functionality. That way, a role defines access to all the data and functionalities in the system. Then the roles are granted to a group of users who are on the left hand side, granted users group. And these granted users who have got the permissions, they can perform those permissions on the target users who are on the right hand side. So granted users may perform the role on the target users. So these users, granted users, can perform the role. That means the permissions what they have got, they can perform that permissions on the target users. And the groups in SuccessFactors are dynamic, guys. Dynamic means, say I created a HR role. Every day, say example, there is a new HR join. I need not come and add that HR manually into that group. Automatically, whenever you are hired in the system with HR as a job, you will be automatically picked up into that HR group, like that. And last 2 years I'm working in this company. I don't have a subordinate under me. I'm not a manager. I'm just a normal employee. I became a manager. I got 2 subordinates under me. Automatically system will be picking me into the manager role. Nobody has to come and separately assign me the manager permissions. Automatically seeing a subordinate under you, you will be turned as a manager. So that way, the groups and all are dynamic in the system. So initially in the config level, once the consultants have made all the setup, there is no manual intervention required such that somebody in the admin team has to every time, whenever there is a new joinee, I have to assign these permissions, these roles to this new joinee and all. Nobody has to come and do something. You define everything properly initially in the config level, that's it. Everything will be auto-driven. Okay. So to execute this is where we are going to take this example. In this current screen on my screen, the first block, same thing what I'm giving an example, HR role. I create a HR role with all the permissions that a HR should be given in this company, and I grant this role to HRs, US HRs. In the USA, who are the HRs? For all that people, I want to grant this role, and they can use that role on only the US employees. They can't touch the Indian employees, Australia employees, all they can't touch. HRs in US can touch only US employees. The same role, the second row, I'm giving it to German HR. DEU. This DEU represents Germany, guys. So German HR is also getting the same role, but they are able to perform it on only German employees, not the other countries. That way, we can have our roles and groups created, and we can handle the permissioning concept and success factors. Okay.
You explained about this specific example where you are showing USA and the EU, okay, as a country. Now, and when we are defining HR as a role, okay, so roles can be, roles meaning functionality of US HR, or permissions or rather processes may be different, right? So
you can definitely, if the processes are different, definitely. I can create a US HR role, German HR role, to separate also. Definitely.
To separate also. Okay, got it.
There is no limit on number of roles, number of groups. There is no limit at all in the system. As per your requirement, you can break it down. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, it is a continuation to Lekha question. See, when we're using talent model, is it possible to make maintain dates for particular columns like division, department, job, like that?
Nothing. When you're using now SuccessFactors as a non-EC system, what is your department is only I'm going to maintain. Still, what your which departments you work, last 10 years, which departments you work, I don't bother. SF doesn't give a provision to maintain that at all. It's not required for the talent modules. Okay, it is a duplicacy of data. You already have all this data in the legacy HR system. Why should you again repeat that here? No customer will even agree to do that.
Because I have an example. Because I will ask. I have one scenario. For example, let's say employee is eligible to get a bonus only if he is job title assistant manager. Okay. Let's say 2015 is job title is team leader. So if we don't have effective date, when he become 2017, he becomes the assistant manager.
That is where it happens in the compensation management module. Compensation management module will take the required data from the legacy system. There will be an integration between the compensation module and the legacy system. Whatever data that module requires, that will be an integration established between that specific module to that legacy system. Okay. Or there will be a place to import only this. The employee's date of entry into the designation, employee's date of entry into the department, kind of whatever the input that is required for compensation management module to process this hikes, promotions, bonuses, variable pays, all that. Compensation module will have its separate input source.
So somewhere they will maintain. Okay. Not in the, thank you. So
back to the discussion, guys. Yeah, so this is an example. The first example is what we'll now practically do it in the system and see how the permissions will function, the HR role with the groups, all that. So whenever we have this, we have to start with creation of groups, gentlemen. First, take the groups creation, then the role creation and linking the role with the group and all. We do it. So let me take you to the system. Yeah. So go to the admin center. Once you're into the admin center, one is in this tools, see all. If you click on it, you go to the down. On the right hand side, you will find set user permissions as an area in which the first two things, permission groups and permission roles, are the two things that we can use. Okay. So this permission groups is what we start with. Permission roles is the further one. So either you can come and find it here, or normally in the top search area itself, if you want, you can just give the keyword as permission. Here, just on the top search area, give the permission as a keyword. So permission related, what our options are there, they will list down. So in that, we have the permission roles here, permission groups here, like this, two things. So now I'm going from this path as well itself to give you guys very easy set user permissions. Manage permission groups. When you come to this permission groups place, here in this system is already showing you some list of the group names, which is because it is a demo system. There are already groups that are created. Some people are practicing all that. But in a client system, it will be blank. Nothing. Completely a blank page. You have to start clicking on create new and initiate this process. Click on create new. And here you have to give the name of your group, where I'll give it as, the first thing is a granting group. We are going to do this example. US HRs, US employees are the two groups that I want. So for this example, US HRs is a group I want to create first. So it's a granting group, grant US HRs. Date is June 4. Something I'm just giving it as June 4, just for my internal identification. Now, US HRs means there might be 10 HRs in US, there might be 20 HRs in US. I'm not going to add them one by one. I'm not going to add their names one by one. So you treat the complete SF system as one database. In that you need US HRs is where you have to make a filter. So example, I give you an Excel sheet with all the entire employee database. I ask you to pick only the US HRs. You will find country as US, HR, department as HR. Like that you will filter and find out that US HR employees in an Excel sheet. Similar way here, you have all the filters. You click on this drop down here, pick a people pool. Pick a category. You have citizenship, based on city, country, various things based on the department of the employee, date of birth, like this. The gender, here it is, there, gender, hire date. On various parameters, you'll be able to filter the employees. Okay. And in that, before going to that filter, I want to give you an example. In the employee record level, guys, you will have org information as one section. Org information, where this org information, position information, all these are actually part of a central job information portlet actually on the front end. We'll discuss this once we start our EC discussions. So in the job information as a central portlet, you have this org information, position information, all the fields. In that org information, we have the employee works for which company, in which business unit, in which division, with which department, all that. We'll maintain all this. In that, best run company is nothing but US, guys. Best run US. Best run company is nothing but best run US actually. It's a US company. Now, I want to find US HRs, means I can take people who are working for the US business in the HR department. The department as HR, I want those people. That way, if you have to filter with that information, so here in these filters, in these filters, if you come down, you will find the job information set of filters here. Job information, business unit in which he is working, in which company, that company's country, in which department, in which division, in which location, like this, different pay grade, etc. Multiple filters you have. Now, if you need US HRs, I need an employee who is working for a US company. That means he works for a company and that company should belong to the country called USA. So that is where I choose company's country as a filter and I keep it as United States. United States. Done. That's it. Now in this system, there are almost 1400 plus active users in which who are working for US business, particularly only their data. Here on the right hand top, when you click on active group membership, this update button, system will filter it and bring you. It says 398 employees are working for US in this company, in this system. 398 are the entire US employees. In that, I want only HRs. I don't want entire. So in that, add one more category. And now the filter is, so which filter to be used here, guys? Anybody? I need HR related people.
Department.
Exactly. Department name is where you can go and give it as human resource. Just type it. Under human resource, again, multiple countries, Argentina, Brazil, Canada, multiple will be there. I need US at the bottom somewhere. I should find this human resource US. Under this, they are working like that. Now, if I filter it, if I click on update now again, it will be further filtered. In 398, HRs are only 19. So total 398 US employees with 19 HRs in them. Remaining are the 371 non-HR US employees. So now these 19 HRs are going to perform the actions on the remaining employees. But this is the first group that we have to create, granting group US HRs. So I did not add these 19 people one by one. When I click on this 19, who are they? Their names, what type of a job they are executing, in which locations of US they are working, all that list is showing up. That's it. In the same US business, in the HR department, if there are 2 more employees joining, automatically group count will increase to 21. If there is an employee resigning and is leaving the company, automatically group counts comes down to 18. No manual way of intervention of adding the people, removing the people is not required. It all happens automatically. That is dynamic. So this way we can use these filters and we can include the people into the groups. Click on done. Here group creation will be done, which is the first group, the granting users group, and the latest created group will every time come on the top here, and the 19 people as a count is present here. That way. The first group US HRs is done. Next thing is US employees. So for that, we'll again create one more group. Click on create new. This time it is target group. Target. It is US employees. June 4. Just for my internal. Now, somebody tell me, how should I pick the US employees from these filters?
Location.
Locations, I'll have multiple locations in US.
Country.
Texas.
Nationality.
US employees means not nationality. Yeah, company.
Again, company, country.
Yeah. So we should not take nationality, guys, because in US, Indians can also work. Okay. People working for US companies, my point. I'm not talking about US citizens. The company's country is what you have to take. I'm working for a company which is a US company. So USA. Done. That is total 398 US employees are there. So this is how you create a group for finding the US employees. But this is very straightforward. So now if we add some salt and pepper to this requirement, clients will come up with a condition that I don't want HR employees to be part of this group. That is, these HR employees which are in this group should not be in the target population. That means they should not do their own promotions. One HR employee guy cannot do the promotion of other HR guy. Transfers, promotions, increments, anything. This HR department people should not touch the HR employees. Other employees, sales, marketing, finance, any other department employees related, they can touch their records. But HR employees data will be dealt by some CHRO or somebody in the top level. So HR employees should be excluded in the target population. Non-HR US employees is what they ask. So in that case, not only to include the people into the group, at the bottom, you also have an option of excluding the people from the group. From the entire US, I want to exclude particularly the HR department employees. So the same filter, department name what we used last time, use that. Human resources US. So from this total 398, those HRs last time we got 19, right? So if I remove that 19, 371 is the 379 is the remaining that way. So 379 are the non-HR US employees. This way we have an option to include the people into the group and even exclude the people into the group this way. And say example, if they are not asking to exclude the entire group of people, they want to exclude particularly one person kind of anything. So you also have an option of the extreme bottom, you have user as an option. Okay, after all these job information filters are also done, at the bottom you have user as well. You can directly even type the names. Any particular employee you want to type any name, you can start typing their name. System will give you the input. You can add them. So that one by one, you want multiple users, 2-3 users also, you can definitely, whoever you want to exclude, you can type their names like this. Okay, click on done. So this way also you can user by user, you can also exclude. User by user, if you want to include also, you can include. Both on include side, you exclude side, both sides will have user option. You can type their IDs. Okay. So that way we can not, every time it's not mandatory that it will happen on a bulk like entire department, entire location, entire division, not like that. Individual users you want to add into the groups, individual users you want to exclude from the groups also, it is absolutely possible. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you. Same peer. Suppose I would like to exclude the same peer. Suppose I am a HR recruiter. I don't want to perform this kind of activity for the same peer. So is there an option for that?
For same?
Peer means same designation. HR recruiter.
That's what. So you have that filter. You have a job type. We have a job type here. There is the job classification. So recruiters as a job classification, you can exclude. Okay, that way. So with this, I'm just clicking on done. So the second group, which is the target employees group, is also ready. First one is a US HR, that is a granting group. Next is the target group. Both the groups for our requirement, both are ready. Okay, just a moment. So now coming back to the presentation. So both groups are ready. Then the next part is to work on the role, guys. For the role working, again, let's go for the same thing, which is the admin center. Admin center I'll open. In the admin center, the same tools, see all option. And here going down, you'll find an area in the name of set user permissions. In this, the second one, manage permission roles is what we are going to use. Click on permission roles, and these roles what are going to be displayed now also will not be present in the client system, guys. When you go to the new system of customer, it will be completely blank. SuccessFactors is not giving us any standard employee roles, standard manager roles, nothing. It's a complete blank system. You have to upload, you have to start creating them based on the client requirements. Where here we'll have an option of clicking on create new and starting this process. Click on create new, where a role is going to be having three sections in it. Three parts of it, where the first part is just to give the name of a role. So I'm going to work on a role called HR role. Again, some June 4 something I'm giving it. And then the second part is the permission. So here in this role, what all permissions you want to give for that HR role, you can select in this permissions block. Just click on this permission button. A pop-up comes with all the possible permissions that are available in the SuccessFactors system. User side of the permissions and admin side of the permissions, two sets. Okay, where user side of the permissions are those that will be required for the people going to use the system. Admin side of the permissions are required for those who are working on the configurations of the system, using the system, configuring the system. Now I have to give the role for a CEO. CEO role in the company has to be created. So should I select the user side of the permissions or should I select the admin side of the permissions?
User.
User.
So however superior he might be in the company, he is not going to work on configurations. It's only a user. So employee, manager, HR, HOD, vice presidents, directors, CEO, anybody. It is user side of the permissions are only required for them. Admin side are required for we the consultants who are working on the configurations, and business side maximum few nominated HRs in the department, HR like HR admins we call them. So who are going to take care of the success factor solution after we leave the project. So project go live is done. After go live 2 or 3 months we support. After that we leave this account. We go for some other project. Now client has to run their system. So the administrators who are going to handle the system. So every 6 months making the upgrades to the system. Okay, doing the hiring, promotions, all these. And any small changes in the config or new requirements to be handled without consultant support if they have to do anything. So that's why they will have the admin permissions in the client side. So max 5 or 10 people in the company, max, not more than that. So we the consultants and few nominated administrators will only have admin permissions, where user permissions is for all the end users. That. And in these categories, the permissions are well segregated module wise, guys. So here you want the permissions on goals, performance, career development planning. This is the latest module called Opportunity Marketplace, guys. This is the latest module that got released in this release only. So there are still documentations coming up on this module. There are frankly no consultants available in the market, and there is certification also not yet released for this module yet.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
It's released in this May release only, new module called Opportunity Marketplace. Then succession planning module, learning management. Like this module wise, the permissions are well segregated and given. Now going into any module. So now if I want to give for this HR role, I want to give full access on the goals module. Select all is what I can select. On performance module also, I want to give full access. Select all. Like this. So for HR, I'm giving the full access on the PMGM module. That way, performance and goals. So that is one way. Or if you know exactly what permission you are planning to particularly give, come and select that respective checkboxes only exactly without giving everything. But here, as of now, what does this each and every checkbox mean and all? We are not having that clarity. So we'll have that understanding once we go into the modules. Once we do the EC module training, at the end of the EC training, we understand the EC permissions. Then we are doing the PMGM module. At the end of the PMGM module, you'll understand the meaning of what is team goal, what is initiative, what is etc., all that. So as of now, our intention here is to understand how the permissioning concept functions. It's not to actually know the meaning of each and every checkbox. Is not our agenda now. How is the permissioning concept functions, which is applicable across all modules of SF. You are from EC, recruitment, PMGM, any module, the way how you grant the permissions, set up the roles, groups, everything is common. So that is what we are concentrating now. So as of now, without bothering about what does this checkbox mean and all, full access on goals, full access on permissions is what I granted, and click on done. And what all permissions you have selected, they all come and populate here. All the checkboxes, what you have selected, they're populating here. So this is the permissions. Now you have a role with the name, you have a role with the list of permissions in it. Finally, this role has to be given to whom? Is the granting part. To whom am I granting this role is the last part. So here you can click on add, where the groups that we have already created will be available. Click on add. Here on the top, you will have the granting group. Here at the bottom, you will have the target group. So here it's already permission group as a category selected. Click on the select button on the right hand side. Search for, just give me a moment. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, search for here in the name of June 4, whatever we have created. Two groups are there. So first is a granting group, for whom we have to give in the top. So these people are going to get, the US HRs are going to get this role, which has a full access to goals and performance module given, on whom they can perform that rights, whatever rights they have got from goals and performance, like to give the ratings, to create the goals, to delete the goals, whatever permissions they have got in this role in the background. So they can perform it on every employee in the company, say, irrespective of country, location, department, anything. I have a default as option as everyone. Where else my requirement is not to everyone, only US employees. In that case, go for the second option, target population particularly, and here select this last checkbox to enable this select option. You select this last checkbox, the select button will be activated. There again, search in the name of June. This is target population, where non-HR US employees we created, right? So that is a group. So these US HRs are going to get access on the US employees that way, and click on done on the right hand bottom. That's it. The granting is also allocated. So this is how you create a role, by giving the name to the role, select all the permissions in that role, and finally assign that role to the relevant groups what you have already prepared, and just click on save on the bottom corner. Your assignment will be done. This is saved, and the latest created role is what that is appearing on the top, HR role June 4th. This is how we work on this concept of permission groups, permission roles, where first the group should be created, then we come to the role. During the process of creating the role, internally linking that role to the group also will be one of the part. So 3 parts are there on the screen of the permission. First part is naming the role, second part is selecting the permissions, and third part is granting that to the previously created groups. And here a couple of other things to be highlighted is, by any chance, if the person who is in the granting group, if he is also part of the target group by any chance, okay, so now that means he can work on his own record. By mistake, due to any grouping issue, if the person is present in this group and this group, that means he is having authorization on his own record. So if we have to avoid such cases, we have to select this checkbox at the bottom, exclude granted users from having the permission access to themselves. So I cannot change my own salary. I can't create goals for myself. I can't give rating for myself, like that, whatever. So the permissions, whatever are in the background through this role, I can do it on others, but I can't do it on my own data. That is, exclude granted users from having the permission access to themselves is a checkbox that SAP standard has given. Okay, let me take some questions.
There was a question on while creating this groups, right? One on the both the kinds of a group. So basically the conditions, whatever we put across, is an and condition. The logic works as an and, it's not an or,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So while we take that and condition, the logic as such, there is a two way where we can define. One is inclusive of the people, one is excluding the people. Let's say I have put a category of excluding the HR department, and in the inclusive, I want one HR to be added. So that is also possible?
Yeah, definitely. So basically,
because my exclude category is already HR.
So first of all, if you are going to give the include as user as only one user specific, if you are going in this way, okay, so Anya Singh is the HR say, okay, now this group has taken only one person, total count is itself is 1. So there is no point of excluding the entire HR group at the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, from the selected people, I can exclude it.
Okay.
That is all.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. My question is related to the first point, which is user creation. So I just want to know, can we add a new user directly also without using import process?
So when it is a non-EC system, you don't have a front-end interface. You will be using that file path only. If it is an employee central activated system, you will have the front-end interface of hiring the employees through this transaction called add new employee. You have the front-end interface for it. For a non-EC, only the import.
Okay. For non-EC, only the import.
Yes.
Okay. One more from this. You have shown us the department that by the name of Human Resource US. So I have seen in that list, that the department by the, that country, including the country name. So it is created by us, or it is by default in EC?
No, they're definitely client given data. Nothing will be given by SAP here. Keep this a fundamental. Definitely, client can't expect what are your company's department, your company's locations, what pay grades you use in your company. Nothing. No master SAP can think of it. Okay, client has to maintain. They'll give a provision where you can maintain the list of departments, maintain the list of locations, everything. You'll have the respective provision locations. Data is what client specific we have to create. Okay. In this demo system, whatever I'm using for demonstration is all the sample data what SF has already kept it pre-delivered. Okay. All this is a pre-delivered master data as a demo data that they have already given.
Okay. So all are with country including this pre-delivered.
Exactly. In this demo only, not in the client systems.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So my question is basically more from a real-time project consulting standpoint.
Yeah.
So if we are doing this at real-time at client during the requirement gathering phase, so will you be able to show us in a workbook how we can relate to this? Like how, I mean, you don't have to show the actual workbook for a client or something like that, but maybe you can show us like, see, in a real-time project, this client has gone through, said like they have these 10 different roles and these are what is excluded and these are the real-time roles we actually built for a client. So can you show something like that so that we can relate more to this concept?
No, definitely.
I mean, I understand.
Definitely, you can't relate based on the document. Yeah, definitely, I'm going to showcase you. But looking at the document, getting more clarity and all, I don't believe on that. So this concept here in the system only, you will understand first, whatever you have the questions and all. How to gather the requirements, I'll explain in the workbook for sure. We'll see that going further when we open the workbooks. So only once we look at the module, in the module, what are the different kinds of concepts we have, different applications we have, functionalities we have, then only in the workbook we'll understand. So what is this, whether this to be given or not, an employee role to be given or an HR role to be given, all that in the workbook level we'll understand. Definitely we'll look into that. But that point, say, based on looking at the workbook, we getting a clarity is nothing. I don't think it will be on this topic on the practically when you work on the configuration only, you get more clarity. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that's it. So this is how the permissioning functions. And here one more thing I want to extend this is, now we created the group called US HRs, US employees, German HR, German employees, etc. We will work on the groups, guys. Well and good. But if it's a project where it is only an Indian client, they don't have any global presence, all employees are in India only, then there is no point of country and all. So I want to create a HR role and give it to HRs. In that case, no US HRs, India HRs, anything. It's only one set of HRs, that's it. In such case, you need not even create a group called HRs. Automatically here in this drop down, if you click on it, system will have default managers, matrix managers, HR managers, like this default list. If I select HR managers, all the people who are currently assigned as HRs in the system will be automatically picked up into a default group. That even the group count or nothing appears. Who are all the HR managers in the company? They'll be automatically be identified in that way. Similarly, a manager's role. So if I select it as managers, who are all managers in the company, system will automatically identify. If you are tagged with a subordinate under you, you are treated as a manager automatically. Similar way, if there is a role that you're going to all the employees in the company, everyone has a role you have. Everyone, all employees. So that is a role that you're going to everybody in the company. It might be 100 employees in that company or 10,000 employees in the company. It doesn't display any count here, but to everybody it is going to give. So in such cases, you need not even use the concept of groups at all. Directly role. Come to the role. While assigning the role, if it is a role to all the employees, employee role selected. If it is a manager role, select as managers. To all managers, it will apply. If it is a HR role, select as HR. To all HRs, it will apply. Like that. You need not even create a group. Okay. That's a default groups. All managers, all HRs, all employees. These are all default groups that we get, guys. Okay. That is it. So this is about the permissioning concept. And this presentation, what I've been using, guys. So this is actually having each and every step, whatever I've showcased you. This presentation has been prepared with each and every step actually, with the clear navigations as well. So this document you will find in you guys will be receiving it, and people who are having access to the blog, in the blog also you find the access to this document, where step by step. The first step, where do you go for creation of the groups? Okay, this path will be given, guys, but this path is as per the previous admin center. You can directly search for this manage permission groups on the top search area as I shown you. And once you go there, how do you click on create new? Then the pop-up comes. You give the filters, you give the group name, all that. You choose the filters, the way of you select, how you get the group count on the right hand top. all these things. You will have it. Next, the second group. You can also create the second groups for the same example of US HRs, US employees, all that. You can create the groups. Then with the roles. The roles part. So the first step is creation of groups that is done. Now the second step, role is being highlighted. Where for role, where do you go in the system? Manage permission roles. In that, create new. For that, again, it has three parts: the name of the role, the permission button. When you click on it, a pop-up comes with user permissions, admin permissions, and all. You select the required checkboxes. All that is there. And finally, you grant that role to the groups. The granting part, the third part is granting, where the top is the granting area and the second is the target area. Both are there. So that way, the entire assignment part, everything is covered in this presentation. And I'll be sharing you guys with this presentation. Along with, there'll be some exercises as well that I'll be sharing you guys, where creation of a group, creation of a role, all that steps will be there with the independent PDF slides and all. So you will have that as well, so that you can practice. Take 2 questions. Let me take them.
Actually, I have a question regarding creating group. When we see we created a group, how to differentiate in between default group, which is given by SuccessFactors, and the group we created? How to differentiate?
Here, I am repeating this point 100 times. There is nothing default given by SAP. Make a note of it. Nothing given by SAP. Everything is what we create. Okay, this is a demo system that you have already something present. Because it's a demo system, there are predefined things, but in a client system there will be nothing.
Okay? So there will not be like a HR manager, something like that. It will not be there over instance. Okay.
Not at all. Everything we only have to create. Okay, this page, when you come to manage permission groups, it will be blank page. Once you start clicking, click on create new, one by one, these entries add up here. Okay. Yeah,
you went to the manage permission roles. In there, you put a default group, right? That like the HR managers and the secondary manager and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That groups. Yeah, exactly. So the managers and HR managers, I can relate to them from the UDF file.
Exactly. So for an employee,
right.
level, whomever you have tagged as the HR column. Here, I'll just do that. So all these people who are tagged as HRs, these are all the HRs. Who are tagged as managers, they are all the managers. Similarly, you will have a column called matrix manager here. They will be the matrix managers here. Matrix manager in this column if you maintain it.
So what is the secondary manager?
That is all applicable when you have EC. Only currently we are discussing it as an example non-EC. In non-EC, only normal manager, HR, and matrix manager, 3 roles are available. If you are dealing with EC Employee Central, you will have additional relationships. So we have an employee profile. In the employee profile, here you have a portlet called job relationships, where against one employee, you can maintain up to 9 different relationships.
Okay, got it.
So here you get it. Where it is, you have additional manager, supervisor, all this.
Got it. Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you.
So you want to use them as the same terminology, or you want to relabel this terminology like location head, location manager, like this different terminologies they can actually reuse. I've done a project for one banking sector. Okay. In every bank, for every employee, every bank employee also, same like in IT environment, you have a reporting manager to whom they report to, or reporting supervisor they call, whatever. Apart from that, for every branch, we have a branch manager, right? So that branch manager as a concept also, they have used it. They asked me to relabel one of this role as a branch manager.
Got it. Okay. Got it. And so when this conversation happens for the requirement gathering for the roles and its permissions and everything, do we take the client through each and every user role, or is it like when we approach the client, should we say like usually in other clients, these are the predefined standard things we go through, and just tell them, okay, we have a HR role, we have, and these are the recommended permissions for the HR roles. Will the conversation go like that, or the workbook will have something that will help us through?
No, nothing. Workbook will not have all that things. It depends upon the client's requirement. So whether they need permissions for HRs, as HR role managers, matrix managers, all this, that depends upon. Say there might be a client who only has 3 things: manager, HR, employee. There might be some companies who ask for a matrix manager role, some ask for a second manager role, like that. Based on that client requirement, the new roles will come up. There is nothing like SF standard recommendation that these are all the roles required. SF will not even recommend it.
Okay. So in general, EC implementation, in your experience, taking out recruiting or performance, anything out of the picture, in just EC core, what is the maximum number of roles you have come across for a client, like user, HR admin, and what else like that? Like how many?
So
roles?
Normally we have employee role, employee and others. Employee self role, employee and others. When I look at my profile, what data should be visible? When I look on others, what data can be accessible? Like the two roles will be there: employee and others. Next, manager role, HR role. Some companies ask for a second level manager role. Okay, so these are commonly seen. Apart from that, if it is a company with different countries, like US, India, two countries, they have employees. In US employee role, US manager role, employee US role, employee India role, manager India role, manager US role. Like that, country specific again they'll be repeated.
So that's for that's the target population.
Not only target population, even in the main role, the point is the permissions what I give in India are 10 for an employee. In US, I give 15 permissions for an employee. So US role is different, India role is different.
Got it.
Not common. So minimum will be employee and others, manager, HR, second level manager. These 5.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Commonly for every module, commonly there will be one admin role, EC admin role, PMGM admin role, like that.
Right. Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Guys, any other queries? Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Actually, it's not question. It's whatever the scenario we have created. We have created a role. We have assigned to the group, and it should act on the target users.
Exactly.
If you add some other point like this, I want to see how exactly working, whether it is throwing any error like US role user. I want to test with UK role, UK user, like vice versa. So whether to make sure that means our practice perspective is going, make sure that the role is kind of testing scenario.
That's what, say example, if you have to test it. So now say Anya Singh is a US employee. Okay, this lady, if you go to her profile and if you see it, she's a US employee. So now we have created a permission groups in such a way that US HRs will get on US employees. She's actually a US HR. If you go to your profile, so she is working for the US entity. This Western company is nothing but the US company I told, and department as HR department she is working. So that means she is part of the US HR say. Now she has to have the right to access or do performance by any promotions, transfers, anything on US employees only. If you have to test it, you have to go into this user first. Not only this users, I'm just taking. So whichever user to whom you have given the group permissions, you go to one of that user and search for any UK employee in the system. You have to find who is the UK employee, any UK employee in the system, and UK or any other country employee, and you open their profile. So example, I have an employee called Alex. I think he works for Singapore actually. This SEA, President SEA, it is a Singapore employee. So here if I go for one second guys. So here I go for the job information. I see he is a person working for Singapore here. I can show the org information. Yes, Singapore he is working. Now she should not have access on this employee. So whatever permissions you have actually given to him, this lady on this person, on the target employees. So that permission should not be working on this employee. It should only work on the US employees. So you have to come to the target employee from the actual user login and see if the same permission is available or not. That way you have to do the testing. Okay. The process of testing, how you should do is what I'm explaining. But in this demo system, when you're trying to practice all the steps what I've shown you, creating groups, creating roles, granting them, everything you can work on. But same thing as per that we want to test it, we can't guarantee, because it's not a system that you are only alone using. Multiple participants use, multiple permission assignments they do. So as per your configuration, you say US HR should not have access to the UK employee, but other person might have created a role in such a way he has given full access, target population as everyone. So from that there is a chance that this lady can access the UK employee also. So in the demo system you can't test it as it is, you can practice the steps involved in it. Okay, get it?
Oh yeah,
perfect. Yeah guys, I'll just take 2 last questions. I already have 2 hands raised. I just have to shout somewhere. Yeah, Jayant, please.
Can you show me one Indian employee?
Indian employee you have in the name of Mohan Kumar, which is who is the actually Kumar is the CEO in the system, actually the top person. Search with this Mohan Kumar. is a top person. He's actually the CEO. He's the role of CEO in this entire system. Okay.
Oh, he is India based or US based? I want the person who is based in India. I just want to see the profile because I've seen some interesting things.
Not sure. Yeah, you can just find it with the same permission groups concept. Go for the groups.
No. I'm just asking because I have seen that that whenever in SuccessFactors it is showing the timings in profile.
Don't bother about it. Timing is based on the data center.
It is showing time according to the country.
That's what. Here in the employee record level, you have the time zone in which the employee is working. You maintain this. The Singapore employee, the time zone is maintained as Singapore. As per that, the time can show. Okay.
It's showing the exact timing. Time zone.
Okay. Yeah. Next.
The question is not related to. See, in home drop-down, whatever the options we are getting, is it based on the provisioning setting, based on the modules, or based on any functionality?
First of all, what modules are activated? Say, example, there are 5 modules activated. 5 can come in the drop-down. But out of 5, the permissions that you have are only if they are for 3 modules, only 3 will appear.
It means my employee profile is also one module. Huh?
That is not nothing but employee central. You have EC or you don't have EC, employee profile will be there. The sections of information on that will differ. In EC, you have a lot of sections of information. In a non-EC, all this employment, compensation, payroll, or time will not be there. There only this me section, the first one, and the talent profile will be there.
Okay. So it basically it's modules. In the options which are displaying in the home drop-down, right? Modules.
Yeah, this is the modules. Obviously, the modules. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
But again, in the PMGM module, you have multiple goals, performance, continuous performance. All these 4 belong to PMGM.
Okay. Functionality also.
Fine, guys. This is for now. Let's again connect back where we'll continue our discussion on there are a few areas in the introduction to mastery level that we have to at this stage focus. So we'll cover that as well. And we'll definitely also have an introduction topic of Employee Central covered. That introduction topic is nothing but how do you maintain this profile? So this profile with a lot of informations we are seeing actually. How can we customize and configure this profile layout? What all sections should be there, etc., etc. So that is the first introductory topic of Employee Central. We'll start in the around mid of the session. We'll even start the topic. That's it for now. Thank you one and all.